casually told her, I said, it is well. I laughed over it. I just ended the conversation. Not many days after, she called and to tell me that the father is late. So we began praying to know what killed the father and how the father died. And the Holy Spirit said to me that the father is the head of that covenant. And he initiated the entire children. Out of 11, it was just remaining 3 of them. So 8 died. Out of 11 children. And none of them died at tender age. All of them died immediately they got done from school. As they are rounding up Makerere University, Kampala, they are slumping on the way. Either they died on the way or they die when they get to the house at the verge of their celebrations. Covenants are real. Covenants. There are 2 contexts. When emphasizing covenant, there are 2 contexts I'm speaking on this night. I'm speaking, number 1, on the context of your personal relationship with God. 2 is the involvement of your ancestry. The involvement of your ancestry with strange idols or fallen spirits. If you look behind you, in fact, behind you lies the tree of your ancestry. The tree that is yet to be cut down. If you die the way you are now, you have sustained the covenant. If you're not able to change anything in your paternity, your maternity, then you have sustained a covenant, which means you have transferred a covenant to another, a fresh generation. The amount of battles you win determines the foundational issues you have resolved. Some people feel that coming for a weekly activity is a waste. But you who is here, your name is blessed. One more prayer point. It was Zebulon. I refuse to fulfill negative covenant. I refuse to fulfill negative covenant. I refuse to sustain negative covenant. I refuse to retain negative covenant. It shall end with me. Open your mouth and pray that prayer now. Lakine bina kandole binasa. Kisobine saya balata. Mesuka baba balataya. Toga de besura. Lesume dunera ya. Badene bine sira. Oh, biriri. Biriri mi mazena. Eloja mebi sana. Andase. nebi nerema. Kobani beni sara. Otomobina garebina. Oh lurumi. Lurumi bibi maromoza. Domsa beni. Ata di binebise. Otome bi masaya. It shall end with me. None of my children will take it. I refuse to pass this baton to my children. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Let every mouth that is shut by Satan, everyone whose mouth has been padlocked, to stop your manifestation, let that mouth be open now. Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Take your seat. I will share on staying with your covenant part 2. And then before I share, permit me to plead with you. Permit me to plead that you are here, you have ever lost somebody in your family. Let me see your hands. You have ever lost somebody. Somebody died. Somebody you love so much. You have ever lost any of your parents. Can I see your hands? Maybe mother or father. Any of them. There is this confidence in Satan that if he can take the head, he can equally take those who are seeds of the head. If your father was killed, if your mother was killed, if any of your siblings were killed by spiritual powers or enemies, try not to sustain that covenant. Don't be in the queue of people who will be killed by the enemies. It is covenant that qualifies us for sonship. It is also covenant that qualifies us for worship. There is no juju priest that located a shrine and then began enchanting the gods or the spirits in that shrine. There must be a proper agreement between the man and the spirit. That, look, I will worship you, but when I'm worshiping you, you see, you have to, there are things you have to do for me. I have to be sure of certain things. Christians don't force their children into serving God the way idol worshippers force their children into serving idol. It's looking like the world is now trying to teach us the power of continuity. The worst thing that can happen to a man or a woman is not knowing the God he or she is worshiping. Well, you can be in church and still not be worshiping God. Because the covenant that the head of that place has with whatever spirit he is worshiping is the same spirit that you are worshiping, because he's the head of the what? The sheep. A priest can either choose to take you to hell or to take you to heaven. He has the right and he has the power. Have you entered a bus before? Okay. Have you ever told the bus driver, say, see where they drop, and he tells you that here they need to stop anyhow? He said, we have to go front. I shouldn't teach this thing to people who live in Port Harcourt, because that is where madness, the rate of madness there is 85.5%. I can't count how many times they will pass marimbas. Excuse me. While we got to Eastern Bypass, I told the driver, I said, I'm dropping at Marimbas roundabout. He will say, I don't hear you. On getting there, he will pass the place. And then we'll begin a fresh quarreling. Upon quarreling, you're not helping. You have passed the place, you have passed the place. And so passing the place now, he tells you, come down. He decides where to drop you. This is why you should be concerned about your shepherd. Be concerned about your priest. Be concerned about who is your pastor. Because your pastor can decide your destination. Your pastor can decide where you will end. He can decide your landing point. He can decide that you're not going to heaven, that you're going to hell. The covenants of a place determines the God the people of that place worships. Every place of worship has a covenant, and it is the covenant that introduces their God. Every place of worship has a covenant, and it is the covenant that place has that introduces the God of that place. This is the reason why you have to be very careful with when somebody is coming up with something different that is not part of a vision, to introduce it to the vision. That's a sign of a rebel. Study the vision and know what the vision believes, and don't add, don't subtract. Because when God called every visionaire, he handed over to the visionary the scroll. That is the manuscripts. The entire detail. The do's and don'ts of the vision. So you don't come into a vision and begin changing things. No matter how intelligent you are, there are knowledge that is, there are certain knowledge that is not needed in a vision. The earth is word. The earth is what? The earth is what? Word, yes. There are things that make some married men very, very happy. Don't try to change it. Don't try to change it. Every relationship is founded on covenant. And anyone that decides not to walk through the path of covenant to be established will fail in due time. Now or later, every relationship that does not have covenant as a foundation will eventually fail. Eventually to fail. Why people walk in and walk out of places is because there is no covenants binding them. Nobody turns his or her back against covenant. Because covenant will not show you mercy. You can play with rules, but you can't play with rules that is given by covenant. You can play with regulations, but you can't play with regulations that is given by covenant. Even if you die, there are certain covenants that must not be broken. There are women that after they lost their husband, till today they don't know what it means to love. And they will eventually die without a man. Not because of love, but because of covenants. The foundation of that marriage, that relationship, is covenant. Men who forget their wives so quick after the departure of their wives are men who never had covenant with their wives. Why people wake up in the morning and decide to fight a pastor and to fight a church is because there's no covenant. Those are just spiritual prostitutes that jump from church to church. I don't feel, nothing excites me. I don't get so impressed when I see visitors, because visitors must go. Don't let a visitor take the place of a family member. Don't give the place of a family member to a visitor. Don't try it, because visitors will go. Family members will stay. First Samuel chapter, should I read this? First Samuel chapter 18 from verse 1 through 10. Very, very quickly, let me begin I'll be speaking on staying with your covenant part 2. Go ahead. And it came to pass when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul that the soul of Jonathan was night with the soul of David. And Jonathan loved David as his own soul. Hold on. How many of you were here when I taught on soul ties? And after that, have you heard that message anywhere? If you can Google soul ties out, and it is preached the way I preached anywhere, I'll give you $500. That intelligence, if you can bring it out on soul ties, anywhere at all, anywhere, I give you the go ahead. $500. These are men. They are not practicing homosexuality. But like I said before, I said covenant is stronger than love. In fact, covenant is an upgraded version of love. When you hear covenant, the difference between covenant and love is not far from when a young man tells you, I'm doing Yahoo Yahoo, and then the other one say, I'm doing Yahoo Plus. That Yahoo Plus is a step up. Now that step up there involves killing, involves murdering, involves rituals. So when you hear covenant is an upgraded version of love. Don't be carried away by when people call you my covenant sister. That's the greatest deception of this age. The greatest deception of this age is people addressing themselves covenant brother, covenant sister. Whereas there is no bond between the both. Excuse me. When you hear covenant is somebody you can die for. Love cannot die. Excuse me. Don't argue with me. But if in case you are here and you're married and you say you love your husband and you can die for him, come out here. Love is too fickle to withstand certain fight. Love is too fickle to withstand endurance, to withstand certain patience. Love can end when you die, but covenant proceeds. So covenant continues. Go ahead. Verse 2.
And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him.
And
gave it to David.
Because covenant will make a demand. You can't be saying, my covenant brother is walking naked on the street. And the other covenant brother is looking fine with more than enough clothes in the wardrobe. That's not covenant brothers. Covenant brothers cannot watch his brother go naked. A covenant sister cannot gossip her sister. It is covenant that makes men rise to fight for their brothers in the secret. You don't need to be there for your name to be defended. Even in your absence, you can be defended by people who are in covenant with you. And then, when you hear covenant, when you come into the place of worship, penetrating the place of worship alone has granted you the coverage of covenant. Being called or address Christians alone is enough to do what? It's enough to make each and every one of us covenant brethren. But the nature of this earth would never agree with this message. People hardly teach covenant again. In fact, covenant is one of the most ignored aspects of the Bible. Whereas this particular theme I'm speaking of, it is the same, the formation of man was made on it. That is, it was covenant that kept Adam and Eve in Eden. And each time the Bible says, for at the cool of the day, God will descend from heaven to fellowship, that is, to renew that covenant with them. What is that covenant? Covenant of life. That as long as you keep hearing the voice of God, you can't die. It is not just the fruit that killed them. It is the fact that they stopped hearing the voice of God. Because the moment Adam left Eden, the voice of God went quiet. The voice of God is a sign of an active covenant. I'm sure you're not hearing me. I said the voice of God is a sign of what? An active covenant. So Jonathan said, I love you even though you are a commoner. Said David, we all know your father. He's a nobody in this land. But you see, there is this love I have for you. And that love, I don't want it to end with us. So let us go into a covenant so that our children can benefit from that love. Maybe I should remind you that covenant is the base of all glory and security. Whatever you enjoy today, somebody paid for it in covenant. There are families where people don't struggle to have things. There are families where people don't struggle to live long. Why they don't struggle to live long is because somebody before that time in covenant has made available life. Every day you enter this church to pray, it is not just for yourself. Every seed that you came to this earth to represent is enjoying and drawing from that prayer. Down to 50 generations unborn, if Jesus tarries, that covenant will keep speaking. Don't ignore covenant. Tonight, I will be pleased to tell you that you can practically initiate a covenant between you and both God and the altar of God. Jonathan looked at David and said, this relationship is not just about me. It's about the both of us. And beyond us, our children. Go ahead.
And gave it to David.
And gave it, he loosed the rope.
Even to...
Do you know how expensive that rope is? My husband. Husband, we're greedy. How can that one be husband? A man who cannot take care of the wife, how much more if death comes and they say, come and die for your wife, how will he die? To tell you how deceptive some love can be. Some love are very, very deceptive. And then a woman who cannot prepare good food for the husband to eat. They gave you 10,000, they take it to the market. You go to the market, you bought things of 4,000 naira and pocket the remaining 6K. And then when the man said, bring food, you brought water. And you call it food. So your food is ready. You went and then begin turning inside there. Like it's a roundabout. Turning everywhere. So what's going on? You know those days while I was growing up with my mother, you have to search in You know, periwinkle, you have to search to bring it to get one. If you are able to get it, you hide it inside your garden so that your brothers don't see. And then you swallow it. Am I teaching you? If you like, you learn. Throw away this knowledge. It's not good. This particular one, throw it away. Throw away this particular knowledge. It's not for you. The deception of marriage. Do you know the greatest passion of Satan? The greatest passion of Satan is to separate men and women from their covenants. The hardest thing to do on earth is to remember your covenant. The hardest thing to do on earth is to remember where you're coming from. The hardest thing to do on earth is to remember men who impacted your life. The earth is too quick to forget. How dangerous it is to forget your covenant. Why not try it with Satan? You forget God because it is God. You forget a man of God because he's a man of God. Can you attempt it with a native doctor? Excuse me. They brought a white man that was almost dying. This whole place was rotting in 2016 to me. They flew that man from all the way from Columbus and brought that man to Nigeria. And when they landed Nigeria here, he began mentioning the names of places in Nigeria. I became shocked. And so I asked him, I said, you know Nigeria? He said his second home is Nigeria. In fact, that this is where his problem came from. I looked at him, I said, where your problem came from? Here, Nigeria. Why? How? And then he went on to tell me. He told me how he went to Ogun State, so a place where they call Zebulon, in 2004. That he was introduced to that place. And they made sacrifices for him. And he began making money in millions of dollars. He became one of the wealthiest men in the state where he was living. And then every six months he will come and drop 6 cows. You don't dare allow a day to pass. 6 months at the dot. The cows and yourself, you're already before the shrine, waiting for the witch doctor to come out. And he was doing it. He did it from 2005 till 2014. It was 2014. Calculate 6 cows, every 6 months. From 2005 till 2014. Calculate how many cows. And then, ladies and gentlemen, listen. 2014, he had a flight. He was supposed to fly to Nigeria from India. From India. And then he was supposed to fly from, is it from New Delhi? Yes. He was supposed to fly down to Nigeria. And then the flight was delayed. They gave them a connecting flight, and then they asked them to sleep overnight in a particular hotel. The day of his covenant met him on the air. Right there inside the plane there, he began throwing up blood. Began vomiting. They brought first aid and brought, the doctors inside the plane there, they came out to try to see if they can help him, at least for the blood to subside. He told them, he said, no, just get down. Let me just get to Nigeria, I'll be fine. There are many rich people that know where their battles are coming from. It's only pastors that will stand on the altar and begin kabashing on the heads of somebody who knows what is wrong with him. That politician that is going from one church to the other, seeking for solution, they know what is wrong with them. They know they are being chased by their covenants. A broken covenant will raise a devil to fight you. Any covenant that is broken will raise a devil to come after you, whether it is divine or not. And then if in case you try to argue, you will hear where the Bible says that the evil spirit from God enters Saul. So God has devil in him. He has darkness in him. He has wickedness in him. That's why the Bible still went on to say that he killeth and he maketh alive. Everything Satan is manifesting today, he took it from God. They are all God's properties. Judgment is God's properties. Striking somebody with stroke is God's property. Madness is God's property. I looked at the man, and then when he finished telling me, the whole place rotted. This from here, rotted. They've done everything, treated with everything. Nothing is working. And so I asked him a question. I said, why do you believe you'll be healed if you get to Port Harcourt? He said, I believe because I have heard so much testimonies about you in foreign lands. The person who introduced him to me is not even in Nigeria yet. He's in Qatar. So if you meet him, he said in few days, God will use him to heal you. But there are healing that will never come that way. That's why when you overhype somebody, sometimes you can get disappointed. I've gone to preach in a particular nation where they told them that the day I land at the airport, that cripples will start walking. That if I just arrive at the airport, that they should bring cripples to the airport. My host, the man finished my life. So arriving at the airport to be welcomed, I think Mozambique. Yes, Mozambique. Arriving at the airport to be welcomed into the nation. It was cripples, blind people everywhere. People with, what is going on, sir? Say, Daddy, you are welcome. Daddy, ministry will start here. Daddy, I trust your grace. What happened in Kenya will happen here. I said, can you calm down? What? These people here, he said they came to welcome you. They believe that when they see you, they will be. Don't worry, I'll finish that story next time. So when we finished talking, I asked him, I said, where are all your money now? He said, the money is there. That in fact, if I tell him now that he will be healed, he will ask me to get a land in my choice location, and that he will build a 20,000 capacity church and then furnish it and then put all the chairs in it. That all he wants is at least 10 years. 10 years. In fact, he doesn't want 10 years, he wants 5. Well, I sat down with him, discussing with him. The angel that afflicted him with that sickness appeared to me and said, this one is not yours. He said, don't do prayer. This one is not yours. He took from me. I made him what he is. He said that money cannot be used in the kingdom of light. Money got him from darkness. Don't forget that guy is an accuser. In Revelation chapter 12, the Bible says, for the accuser has been cast down to accuse them before God day and night. He's an accuser. So, ladies and gentlemen, I looked at him and then I told him, I said, God said, I should wait. So you will please stay in the hotel. They took him to presidential hotel. They rejected him there because of the smell. The smell. Even with all the stuff they put there just to close the smell. Best perfumes best perfumes, best brands of perfumes. Yet he died inside the hotel. It is only in church that we break covenant and feel God is pardonable. And that God does not have a say. Go ahead.
Even to his sword and his bow and to his
verse what?
schedule. Completing verse 4.
Verse 5 now. And then we went out to whithersoever Saul sent him, and behaved himself wisely. And Saul set him over the men of war, and it was accepted in the sight of all the people, and also in the sight of Saul's servants. Hold on there. I'm done with that. The point I'm trying to make here is what? Is the covenant that Jonathan and David, the covenant they went into. The covenant they went into. Is it not the same covenant that made David to begin looking for a man that is incarcerated, a man that is rejected in Lodibar? It is the same covenant that made Mephibosheth to be called upon. He said, is there anyone left in the house of Saul that I may show him kindness for the sake of who? For the sake of Jonathan. Jonathan is the reason why I'm looking for anyone in the house of Saul. I have no business with Saul. But there is a part of me that has been looking for me. The Bible said when he eventually set his eyes on Mephibosheth, he looked at him and said to the servant, he said, go and prepare the best meal. Then the table said, when the table was set for meal, the Bible says they carried, because the guy was born lame, they carried him and set him on the king's table. And when they set him there, ladies and gentlemen, Mephibosheth said, no, I'm not worthy. David said, covenant has brought you this far. Covenant is the reason why some of your children will never be stranded. The covenant you enter today will determine the kind of favor that will come on your children. Your covenant will either make a way for your children or destroy your children. That's why each time I'm preaching, I talk to elderly people. I talk to mothers, I talk to fathers. I say, whatever thing you do today shall speak in the life of your children. Jonathan didn't know that Mephibosheth will come out of him. That somebody that a time would come when somebody in his family will be at the mercy of David. Whatever you do and know that there is tomorrow. There is tomorrow. Practice whatever you practice and know that there is tomorrow. Behave whatever you behave and know there is tomorrow. I'm looking for somebody in the house of Saul, from the family of Saul. Whether it's a murderer, I don't care. Just tell me where he is. At that point, was the righteousness of Mephibosheth rated? Was it required? Was it needed? What qualified him? Until covenant qualifies you, your destiny will never be in view. Your glory will never be in view. It is covenant that qualifies us for worship. It is also covenant that qualifies us for sonship. It is covenant that also qualifies us for mercy. There are 3 times in a man's life he should never indulge in covenant. 3 moments in a man's life he shouldn't jump into covenant. 3 moments. Number 1. Please listen. The 3 moments of your life you should not indulge in covenant. 3 moments of your life you should not be quick to speak. 3 moments of your life you should not be quick to take decision. 3 moments of your life you should not be fast to say I do. 3 moments of your life you should not be quick to say I love you. Because words are oath. All the people that pledge their loyalty to altars and then run away from that place, they don't know they've left a part of them behind. Before Ladu Masaya, Ebirikulati Galabahasi no Gogo, Ogolobineketu Kagamatayala, Veremebula Katano Tobide, Brida da Gadana Kombi Sisa, Oso Benegen de Kosuda, Elusa Ramadan Gege Kobonitange Velehusayara. Ila manandobo kaka kakekula taya. Emebebelende kekuta labasanu para. Vina aparate de kota. Sokoto lebina kakekune pekekeo koki mamlala. Emeleko bida lata sata. Every ancient covenant that is right, that is being overwhelmed by the negative covenants. There are ancient covenants that are right. It is not every ancient covenant that is demonic. I'm on live, so I don't want to be controversial. I don't want to make some controversial statements. So, you know, the 3 times in a man's life he should never jump into covenant. He should never jump into taking decision. He should never jump into deciding on anything. Number 1. The darkest season. Don't be fast to jump into excuse me. Every man of God is a spiritual father of a confused man. Every man of God is a spiritual father of a confused woman. Everybody is daddy. Confusion instigates choice on you. That is, imposes choice on you. I don't want this, but this is not what I want. But because of I'm confused. Is it not confusion that takes men who should help native doctors to kneel before native doctors? It is confusion that makes a master to serve a servant. It is confusion. When you're confused, be careful of the decision you take. Any decision you take in the days of confusion will hurt you. Many people have lost a lot of things just because they were fast to take decisions in their confused moments. You took decision. Say, no. Nobody should talk to me. A 29-year-old boy got paralyzed. And they brought him to my fellowship in Benekad. All the way from Anambra State. And when they brought him there, they laid him on a stretcher. I looked at him. From the hair down to the feet. I was staring at it. And the Holy Spirit said to me, said, look. He acted out of confusion. He embraced what he was not ought to embrace. As an ordained deacon in church, he was. Is it deacon? Yes. As an ordained deacon, he was in church. And the father was the general overseer. The mother was a Christian. He wanted a quick life. Inside the same state where he came from, they took him to Okija. And they requested for 7 goats. He went and connived with people. They stole the father's car. The father's ancient Mercedes car. And then they sold the car for 300,000. And he used the money and bought up necessary requirements. Went to Lagos to go and get money. To go and make money. There he was in Lagos. I woke up one morning and discovered that he could not raise his right hand. And the right leg died. You see, quick decision will bring quick judgment. When you're too fast to take decision, when you're confused, be quiet. Keep quiet. It is a phase. It will pass away. There's no confusion that came to stay. It will pass away eventually. So if you're confused, instead of talking, keep quiet. If you're confused, go to bed, sleep. If you're confused, sing. If you're confused, do something that will get you busy, that will shift away that spirit from you. Don't take decision immediately you're confused. All the men that joined the cultism, it was confusion that led them into it. And none of them is enjoying it. A young man in Marimes came back many years ago and said that he had an accident and they cut his hand. And he came back very, very wealthy. And then the hand from this place is no more. He had an accident, the hand, the bone got broken, and then they took him, they said they had no choice than to cut the hand. The mother said, okay, but I did not hear. You had an accident, they could not call me. It was 5 years after that the other hand also left. So then I asked him, he said, the wife is there on social media, taking pictures with different cars. I told her one day, I said, you will be needed one day. When hand and legs are gone, they will need external sacrifice. Wife, get ready. This is a young man that was doing very well. He had a provision store in Marine Base there. He was not doing bad. If you have 2 today, then there is a future. There's a tendency of having 10 in the future. Why do you want to jump class? Excuse me, don't jump class. God is a God of process. He hates men who jump class. Number two. I said number 1 is what? In deep confusion. Number 2 is in deep pain. Deep pain. Many people have said what they cannot do because they were in pain. You made a covenant because you were in pain. Oh, I Because you were in deep poverty. You made a covenant that all your money belongs to God. You said it before the altar. You wrote. Some people even went as far as visiting different churches and making the same commitments. Let me ask you, how many altars have your name? Let me ask you, how many altars have your pictures? How many altars have you donated your image? How many people have you given access into your realms and into your destiny? Be careful not to make a covenant when you're in the pain. And if you must make that covenant, think over it, sleep over it, ruminate over it. I don't trust people who appear in a worship center. The next thing they say is, I can build this church. There's one who tried it one time ago. I said many years, about a year or 2 years ago. One politician that came here, and we're inside there, and I gave him paper to sign. Till today, have you seen him? He's still gallivanting the whole of Uyo. He made that promise there, and he put his full name, including the mother's name, and then signed with his signature. Boldness. Be careful the covenant and the promise you make when you're in pain. When you're in deep pain. When you're in deep pain. Say, Father, if you give me children, all of them, I will hand them over to you. I will make them your own. I will make them your own. I will make all those children your own. I will make sure they serve you. I will make sure they worship you. Only for those children to clock 12 years, and you've begun introducing them to different things. Your daughter is just 15 years. You begin telling her, said your mates are bringing, rich men to the house. You begin sending your daughter, on a journey of prostitution. Sending your daughter into the street. What about the promise you made? You have a child. Did you not say something to God before you had that child? All the things you said to God, are you still remembering them? Pain sometimes brings out promises that you cannot make. And why those promises come is so that the future of those children can be destroyed. Because promise not made, promise that is made in the place of pain, that is not fulfilled, will bring pain. Will bring pain. Promise made in the place of pain that is not fulfilled will bring pain. Grievous pain. Terrible pain. Just because you're poor, you look at your pocket, nothing is there. You make all kinds of promises. 20 different altars has your promise. When you eventually become rich, which one will you service and which one will you not? When the money eventually, that's why many people don't even know where they got their testimony. Just the way a woman, a lady, will not know who impregnated her. When you look this side, you look the other one and say, no, nobody is responsible. You fix it on one. Many of us here are product of such pregnancies. If your mother will be sincere with you, she should tell you what happened. Let your mother tell you what happened. Some of you here, the man you call your father is not your father. The people you see as your mother, he's not your mother. Many people, that time you're looking for a child, you had intimacy with more than 5 people, or maybe with more than 2 persons or 3. And then suddenly one appeared. You fix it on one. And then in this generation, now who trusts DNA? DNA doesn't work. It doesn't work. DNA in Nigeria, It's a waste of money. Don't bother going. It's better, in fact, measuring the ear size is better than going for DNA test. Check the face, check the nose, check the ear. Don't waste your money. Like the way Pastor Morris is now, will he give birth to a child and we don't know his child? Somebody that when he's in a dark place, you only know that human being is there when he opens the mouth. Why would you know? Excuse me. So sorry, son. I forgot. Forgive me. When you are in the pen, be careful there. Be careful the covenant you make. Many of us here are product. We have been seriously wounded. We have been seriously wounded because of covenants that were made in the place of pain. Covenants that were made in the place of pain. Your mother stood up and said, "This pregnancy, I don't even understand how it's doing me." Some of you knew very well how you troubled your mother. She told you that you almost died, but not for God's divine intervention, that you almost died. But she did not tell you what she said. She didn't tell you the promise she made. She didn't tell you the covenant she entered. That time she almost died, she was not quiet. There were things she was saying. There were things she kept confessing. Ask your mother the promise she made to God before your birth. That covenant is stronger than saying God called me. Live the life of that promise, the promise your mother made first. Living the life of your mother's promise to God before your birth is more important than accepting the call of God. It's more important than carrying the Bible. Many people carrying the Bible will still they will still die unfulfilled. But you can't follow the pattern of that promise. You can't follow the pattern of that promise and die unfulfilled. Once in a while, ask your mother a question. If you're privileged to still have your mother alive, unlike me, go to your mother and ask her, say, "Mama, can you tell me, what was your agreement with God over me? What did you tell God about me?" There were things you said. What were those things you said in the labor room? People have made promise in deep pain. Just because there is pain surrounding them. They made covenant. And the moment the pain went away, they threw away the covenant. And can you run away from your shadow? Why do you think you can throw away your covenant? Till eternity, no covenant is lost. I said till eternity, no covenant is lost. Covenant will keep operating. Will keep speaking. The 3 times in a man's life, he must be careful. He must be careful jumping into a covenant. Number 3, when you are in deep excitement. Excitement that made me spray you money. And that money I sprayed you, think it was with clear eye. You don't know how I felt when I finished spraying you that money on the mountain. I met this young man on the mountain, this pastor. It was keyboard he was playing. He played keyboard until I became too excited. My plan was to go and spray 5,000. I didn't know when I put my hands and drew all the money. And they even showed me, say, your money fell down. Well, instead of me to pick and put inside my pocket, I just fling the money on it. Excuse me, you have to be very, very careful when you're too excited.
complained that, yeah, of course, that perfume, I didn't plan to give it out. My plan was just use it and I take it back inside. Over excitement of finishing anniversary made me, and I said, whoever, used it last should take it. The two perfume. My God. I said, is that how generous I am? So I went inside there and I began